Hi ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It's Dave Dobbs here. It's the 22nd of May 2019, Wednesday. So tomorrow is the big election, the European election. And I don't know how people are going to vote, and I'm not here to try and sway you one way or the other. Well, I guess I am really. Not specifically to a party, because you've all got to choose which party you want to go for, really, and everything else like that. It's just that I would really recommend you going for a pro-European referendum party, and you know, a referendum that is an informed referendum, not the kind of referendum where we're given, you know, Tony Blair and David Cameron as our main pro candidates for Europe, telling us it's vital for the war on terror we stay in Europe, as if the whole of Europe is waging this war on terror when it's not really, when it's clearly Britain, America and NATO. And it's a big election tomorrow. I really hope you engage in whichever way you go, because how everything that's involved with Planet X affects us is much more in our hands than we realise. You know, as the Colburn Bible says, we're not punished from the mistakes we make, we're punished from the mistakes we fail to rectify. And if we all want to go piling into this free trade deal, which we know will carve up every last piece of our sovereignty, it'll open the way for unrestricted fracking, unrestricted genetically modified food. You know, there's a bottomless pit of nastiness that comes in with these free trade deals that enable corporations to carve up whatever they want in the name of big business, and you can't stand in the way, because you can never afford to stand in the way of those, because they are, you know, you sign up basically to what's called member state dispute systems via these free trade deals, just like the NAFTA free trade deal. And I know I often repeat this and everything else like that, but that's what we're going into, guys. If we leave Europe, we go into a free trade deal and we take as many countries with us as we can. And we've got to think very carefully if that's really what we want to do. You know, Canada is the most sued nation on the planet as a result of signing that. And these are all courtroom processes that are done over and above their existing sovereignty. And that's what this is all about. It's just a very, very quick one, really, because I'm in the midst of painting and decorating my mum's place, and she wants to move in now, and she's got the place, and it's all in a bit of a mess, and she's really anxious about it, and she's not very well at the moment, and she just needs a nice place now, and everything's sorted. So I'm flat out on that to try and get that ready, and then I've got to go back and get all my stuff sorted out, because I've left all my caravan and truck in France, because she went into hospital for a little bit to have she was in a lot of pain, so she didn't have the chemo, but she had the radiotherapy to try and bring the tumours in her spine down a little bit, because they were giving her a lot of pain. So I'm just trying to sort everything out here, and which is sucking up all my time, and the carpets are all coming tomorrow, so sorry, it's irrelevant details, but the carpets are all coming tomorrow, so I've just got to try and get everything done and before they put the carpets in. So maybe they come tomorrow, maybe they come later. Anyway, sorry, by the by, it's just that I haven't had a lot of chance. I just thought I'd sort of, like, whilst I'm on a quick tea break here, toast your good health. I just thought I'd make a quick video. And you know, we just had a flyby, and it's very, very difficult to work out. Well, it's getting easier now, because I think we saw I think it was March. It's around about. It was kind of late March or April that we had the last flyby of this second object, and then we saw the pair of them. And now we've just seen. We've had various various corroborating shots of the same thing going by. Now, if that had been the dwarf planet that caused, you know, remember May the 4th last year, we had Kilauea on the Big Island in Hawaii, going off starting around about the May the 4th last year. And remember, that went off constantly. That was just pumping out magma for 6 weeks solid, like it was just like it was coming out to the torrent of kind of Niagara Falls. And so that's not the result of some kind of CME that's excited the core. That's This is as if some massive gravitational force has been pulling on the magma of our Earth, like the moon pulls on our oceans, sucking the magma out. And if that was the dwarf planet, I would expect the same thing to happen again this year. But it didn't. And I can't believe it could have gone by, because it's travelling so slowly. You've seen from Carlos Ferrada's prediction, in 1939 to the big 2004, tsunami and earthquake, the Boxing Day tsunami and earthquake that back in 2004. If we look at that span, we can see how slowly this dwarf planet moves, and no way would that be out of the way so quickly. This is a very, very, very big, slow mover. It's much bigger than four times Jupiter. I realise that now, just playing with all these different. Just playing with these, with this new solar system model that I've been using and experimenting with it. I mean, I was already suspecting it was much bigger, but clearly it's much, much bigger than 4 times bigger than Jupiter. It's bigger than any other planet in our solar system. It's probably about the third of the size of the sun or something like that. It's massive. It's absolutely massive, and we're being mostly affected by the 2 furthest orbiting objects that have this red oxide in their tail, and I'm assuming this red oxide actually comes from the dwarf planet itself, that is spewing out iron in its own fusion process. So we've had all this corroborating. This corroborated testimony, if you like, of all these different people capturing this sight of this dwarf planet going by. We're expecting it to go by at some point. Not that we're necessarily in the range of it, because if we were in the range of it on the beginning on the 4th of May last year, and we're not in the range of it now, we're getting all these different points where we've seen it, including I'm of a mind that Fukushima and on the 11th of March 2011, and obviously the 27th of February 2010, the big 8.8 earthquake in Chile. These are all signs of where this second object is most affecting us, and we maybe have enough to start putting together an educated assumption or guess of the second of the inner of this second Nibiru, whatever you want to call it, the second twin tail object. We're starting to work out. Maybe I'm going to put it into models and that sort of stuff, and so in my next video I'll explore that a lot more. So excuse the lack of light, but it's really just a very quick video to say, this vote tomorrow is going to be your choice of whether you want a referendum or not, whether you think the last referendum was really fair. I mean, if you wanted a really fair referendum and not some kind of tainted referendum built on total bullshit, total lies, total deception, total manipulation, if we want to have, we've all got a lot more clarity now of where this is going, of where they want to take us, of what this whole thing is. You can see how the Tories are playing it. They're playing it like Theresa May's completely let the party down. So don't vote for her. So they're guiding all their party to vote for Nigel Farage in this election. They're gearing the whole thing up so Nigel Farage's party wins, and then they're going to pull Boris out and take us into the free trade deal once the European Union, and this will destroy the European Union, because you can't take Britain out of the European Union and not destroy the euro with it. And France will then call a referendum. Once we're out of Europe and we've made a deal, France will call a referendum, and you can guarantee, Tony Blair's been travelling around France telling them, he speaks fluent French, telling them it's vital for the war on terror that they leave, that they stay in Europe, and of course they'll do completely the opposite of whatever Tony Blair says, just like we would do, because of what he's done. So you can see why he's paid so much money now, because he's the he's the glove puppet. All these people are working together for the same ends to bring about this free trade deal, and they're all playing their separate part. And your part is whether you want to vote for that, whether you're going to go along with this game, whether you want to enter a free trade deal. All you Brexiteers who really truly want this sovereignty, where you've got the right to choose your own destiny, would you want to sign a free trade deal where corporations you just can't get around? They can't stop a corporation coming into Canada, because to sue them would cost billions and billions. All of these court cases, they've got hundreds of them going. And each one is to the tune of billions and billions and billions. You can't stand in the way of that. It's not like 20 or 30,000. For most people, 20 or 30,000 pounds or dollars would cripple them to take a corporation to court to stop them sort of like carving up your country. But this isn't thousands. This isn't millions. These court cases cost billions, sometimes hundreds of billions. Bigger than sort of like than small countries' total each one, sometimes bigger than small countries' total GDP. You can imagine that if you're using these systems, if you're bringing these systems in, you are carved up. There's nothing you can do to stand in the way of that. There's nothing you can do. They own the printing presses. They're printing of money. Well, you know how this whole kind of fiat-based currency system works. You can't stand against that. You know, this is your only opportunity to stand in the way of this free trade deal. And if you give yourself over to this, your sovereignty is carved up. Your sovereignty is carved up on every front. Everything can just be bought. It all just becomes all dollars and absolutely no sense. So vote, ladies and gentlemen. Really vote. If you're in England, please vote. Please engage. You know, if you are a Brexiteer, ask, will this free trade deal, be honest with yourself, ask, will this free trade deal deliver what you have shouted out to everyone about? Europe takes away your sovereignty. Will this free trade deal be better than an alliance with the European Union that has made it very difficult for fracking, made it very difficult genetically modified food, and holds all these kind of human rights values very, very high? Is your idea of free trade to make access for these big corporations? Will that serve you, or will that just serve big business? That's it, folks. Sorry there's no overlays or anything else like that. It's a bit of a sort of like it's a bit of a rough cut video, but it was just a very quickie just to say that, and I'm just going to attempt to post that up now, just as a thing to say. Engage. Think very carefully about which party you're going to go for, because all the Tories are going to go for, all the Brexiteer Tories are going to go for Farage's party here. You know, I bet most of you don't know one kind of like one Conservative candidate running in the European election, but I bet every one of them knows Nigel Farage's name. And so they're all going to be all the Tories are going to be going for Nigel Farage. And so there's, in my mind, and I'm not going to say, but there's only really one political party that's been totally pro-Europe and pro-referendum all the way through this. And as the Tories will be voting very strategically for you-know-who, I would advise you to vote for the most pro another referendum, but based on the real information that we know now, not all the lies that were sort of like given out during the in the lead up to the referendum. Tony Blair is your main candidate for Europe. Of course, you know, you didn't hate Europe. You hate Tony Blair. You hate what? It was nothing personal. You just didn't like what he'd done in his time in power. You didn't like what David Cameron had done. And he claims to be pro-Europe. He was the one who shot the puppy on the carpet, remember? He was the one who called for the referendum. He was the one who fed Europe to the firing squad. Didn't have to be done. It was the most terrible thing to do, the most terrible decision to do, and then to have the cheek to call himself pro-Europe after. Please. Oh, they might miss. Don't worry, the soldiers might miss. They often do. I'm behind you. I know I'm walking you to the firing range, but hey, I'm behind you. You know, sometimes they often miss. See through it, guys. Anyway, we'll explore the second pathway. You know that now, after this, we've got it pretty quiet now until August, September, and then December, January for the main object again, the most furthest orbiting object. You know, we're all learning how this works. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.